It is Ashley, Keller Williams Real Estate Everett. I am here with Brett Burns, Director's Mortgage, and I'm so excited. We're going to be doing a video here. We're going to talk about like 3 super powerful tools that you can use to be competitive in this market if you need to sell your house and buy another one. So I'm excited to be here with Brett, and we're going to talk about them. Welcome, Brett.
Awesome, Ashley. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, wonderful. So you've been on the show before. Maybe you could just give people like a brief summary about your experience with mortgage, and then we'll go from there.
For sure. So, well, in general, I joined or got in the biz in 2005. So been quite a while now. I've been
Yeah.
currently with directors for 14 years, and it's been a fun run for us. So, a combination of just a lot of good old-fashioned loans, everything from jumbo, FHA, conventional. But around 2020, we really started diving into some more specialty loans as well,
Yeah.
just seeing the need of our clients to find a different way to compete in the market or kind of meet other needs, and then also to help our real estate partners. So now we do a pretty good mix of traditional mortgage and then these specialty products.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the specialty things, and I think that's a really unique thing that Directors does. You guys have some different abilities to do some special stuff, so I'm stoked to share this. Okay, so just to reiterate, we're talking to people that need to sell their house in order to buy their next one, right? So you want to basically be able to move that equity from your old house into your new one. So we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can do that. And let's start with maybe do you think we should start with like the traditional bridge loan? Because I think that that's like kind of
Yeah,
maybe like a good starting point. So everybody
sure.
get the idea.
And I think so. I'm sure a lot of people maybe heard that term of bridge
Right.
loan out there, right?
Right.
So, and I think I always like to put a little asterisk next to it because I think a lot of people probably heard of bridge loans in the past, maybe a bad experience or something negative. And what we saw a lot of times over the years is you may have found, private investors or different groups that tried to offer bridge loans in conjunction with another lender. So you had 2 different people, 2 different companies working, and they weren't unfortunately a great experience. So like for us, this is something where we completely fund that bridge loan in conjunction with the traditional mortgage. So it's one single process, one single company. So we've really streamlined the process of it. But to your point, Ashley, the goal of a bridge loan is I own my house today. I got great equity in there. But for most clients, that's where they plan to use a down payment for the new house.
Right.
Well, the challenge is I can only get that traditionally if I sell. And
That's right.
great to be able to sell, but to juggle the timing of selling and buying at the same time is hard to line up. And then unfortunately, a contingent offer can be very difficult in a market like today. So that's kind of where this bridge loan would fit in great is, okay, I got great equity in the property. How can I use that before I actually sell?
Right.
So very simply, we would say, okay, let's say we have a new home. The plan would be to put down 10% or 20%. We can take that 10 or 20% from the bridge loan on their house.
Okay.
So yeah, so it
So basically
functions.
they're gonna take like a 10% or 20%, whatever that number is, out of the equity of their existing home. They don't need to move out. They're just there.
Yep,
And then they wouldn't have to write a contingent offer. They would just write
correct.
like a regular offer,
Yep,
20% down conventional.
exactly. Because for a lot of buyers, the contingency may be, well, I need to sell it to get my money. Well, we've
Right.
solved it with the bridge loan. Hey, I can get that money out prior. And I've had some buyers ask, well, isn't that like a HELOC? It's very similar to, say, a HELOC or pulling equity out. The difference is it's intended to be on a property that's either already listed or going to be sold, and it's also able to be done in conjunction with the purchase. A HELOC, on the other hand, is not meant for that because HELOC lenders are looking, hey, is this a home you're keeping? Is this your primary residence? Well, if you're actively buying a new one, it's hard to do a HELOC at the same time. So that's kind of where it fits in with the
Exactly.
equation. But a bridge loan, typically we can close in 10 days. So that alone does not deter any ability to write a very clean standard offer on a new property to be
Okay.
aggressive.
And so when they do the bridge loan,
Mhm.
do they have like a time frame where they have to put their home on the market on your
Sure.
guys' end, or do they just
Yeah.
put it
So
on?
great question. We give a little flexibility there. Some, lenders want to see it listed prior to closing, but I know a lot of clients, if they have the ability to move the family and the 4 dogs out and stage the house, they can list their house at a better price, or
That's
be
right.
more comfortable in that transition. So our goal is we want to see a listing agreement, but it's okay, prior to closing, but it's okay if that listing does not actually go live for
Okay.
up to 30 days.
Okay,
Most
so you
clients.
mean to close before they close on the new purchase?
Correct. Yeah. So I
Okay.
want to at least see a listing agreement in place. But it's okay if we close the new house May 1st, they have 30 days, let's say, to move out, prep their house, get it staged. They may list the current home June 1st. So we
Yeah,
give
that's
some
plenty.
flexibility there.
Yeah, that's plenty. And so then, and then during that time, during the 30 days, do they make a mortgage payment?
Great question. So it would work just like a normal loan. So traditionally, if we closed in this example on the new house in May, we
Right.
skip June, first payment starts in July. So that would potentially be a payment, but I have had a lot of clients in a bridge loan never make a payment
Well,
because
do they have a payment on the old house?
correct, they still would because that's
Okay, the
their
old house. So the old house, they just keep paying as normal.
Yep.
The new house, they are like out like a month or two.
Exactly. So that new
Okay.
house payment or bridge is out some. So I always want a client to plan for it, but I have had plenty of clients that list their house pretty quick. It goes under contract. They never end up making that bridge payment.
Okay. Okay. So then, okay, let's see. Ooh, this is a good question. So is it two payments? So do they pay on the portion that is the bridge and the new mortgage? Does that make
Correct.
sense?
It
Okay, so there
does.
are
Yeah.
two payments.
Yeah. So for
Okay.
example, because essentially if we look at it, hey, they're buying the new house, let's say they did 20% down. So there's
Right.
that 80% mortgage in the new house, but we pulled the 20% out. So some clients would have the 80% mortgage, the small 20% bridge loan, and their current house.
And their current. Ooh,
Yeah. So
okay.
it is a scenario where, I mean, again, time is of the essence to get that house
Yeah, you got to
listed
get it done.
forward, but that is part of the planning process to say, okay, if I don't have to come up with any cash, I may have that cash on hand for potentially multiple payments throughout this phase. But what I have found is most clients, if the market's competitive enough where they need the bridge loan, on the positive side, when they list their house also sells
Yeah,
super
it's going to sell
fast.
there pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
So
Yeah.
it helps out to offset that a lot.
Okay. And so then from like the DTI perspective, in this
Yes,
scenario, they would need to be able to qualify for like three things, basically their original
correct.
mortgage, the loan, the bridge loan portion, and then the new house mortgage.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. Okay. That's a very important when we get to the next one.
For sure. Yep. That's a
Okay.
differentiator to your point. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And so then like fee wise, is this one, of the three that we're going to talk about, is it kind
Yeah.
of like, is it similar fees? Is it
Yeah.
less?
So, I mean, so on this one for us, really, the new loan on the house, as we talked in this example, that 80% mortgage, that's a regular rate, regular fees, regular everything. So
Yeah.
the only kind of quote additional cost would be the bridge loan itself.
Yeah.
So in this case, that 20%. So if it was, $100,000, the fees on that are maybe $2,500. So
Okay.
they're pretty
Okay.
small. I think almost every client's realized I could gain more negotiating power by being non-contingent than I would ever save by being contingent. So
100.
that's the key for us, is not to be a super expensive product, is just to give the clients that flexibility to make a much better offer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned that, having more negotiating leverage on both sides,
Yeah.
on the buy
And the
and the
sale.
sell. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, you really can't, replace that. So, as much negotiating leverage as possible is great. Okay.
Yep.
Is there anything else specific with that product that we would have missed? I
I
think
mean,
we
I
got
think that's the key piece, as you touched on. It helps us make it non-contingent. It does have the qualifying for both homes, so that's one factor to put in. But it would be probably the least or the most cost-effective option to do a purchase before I sell scenario.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then let's talk about the transition loan. I like
Sure.
this one. We've done this one. I like this one. I think it worked really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go ahead.
So the transition loan, the idea is very similar, right, to the bridge scenario. Hey, how can I buy and leverage the equity in my current home and buy non-contingent on the new one? The difference is the bridge loan is a portfolio loan, but instead of piggybacking it with a normal conventional mortgage, we piggyback it with another portfolio loan, meaning we're completely portfolioing the entire purchase. And there's two main reasons to do that. One is, as we talked about, the DTI, qualifying for all three loans in that previous scenario can be tough. And as an industry, we've always thought that's a little too extreme because we know that house is intended to be sold, i.e., we even have a listing agreement. So the transition loan works this way. We're going to qualify based on the permanent mortgage, meaning after we sell, what's the estimated amount of long-term mortgage? Because we know, one, that current house and payment associated is gone.
Yeah.
That bridge portion of equity is gone. And some clients even bring more capital from that sale into the new house.
Yeah.
So
So basically they're just going to be qualified on the new house.
Absolutely.
the end.
Yep. So this is really giving us the power to use the equity in our current home before sell, but also qualify if we've already sold or assuming that will sell for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the big power there. So we're going to be able to qualify for more. And a lot of buyers that are stepping up to the next level need that for us.
Yeah.
So that would be advantage one of the transition loan.
Yeah. Well, I think what you said is key, right? Qualify for more, because it's like if you're buying a house that's more expensive than your current house, like, i.e., your payment's going to be higher.
Yeah.
You want to be able to qualify for more.
Yeah.
If being having to qualify for both or whatever would basically
Sure.
take your buying power down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
so,
I see this for a lot of step up buyers need this
yeah.
product.
Yeah. I think that's really important to emphasize. And so on this one, when you take out, so do you take out just like a portion for the down payment on the new
Yeah.
purchase? Okay, so
Yeah, so we
similar.
do, it's a similar structure to where, hey, again, just like the prior one, we're helping to finance the entire purchase. And a client can bring cash if they want, but in this one, if we had a house, again, we would probably split a 20% out of the current house, 80% of the new one, but we again just privately fund, through the portfolio, that entire balance so that we can change the qualifying structure as the number one benefit.
Yeah.
Now, the number two benefit that's great as well is because it's a portfolio funding, we can write a much more competitive offer. And what I mean by that is we could now close in as short as 9 business days.
Wow.
We can now have almost a cash style offer to where, hey, because it's not a traditional loan, we don't have all the standard financing contingency, appraisal contingency guidelines. So a lot of my clients here will write what we kind of call like a same as cash offer, something of that mindset. So I've had quite a few folks where we're beating other cash offers because from the seller's perspective, the terms are identical. The speed, the lack of contingencies. So that's been a really fun tool, again, to qualify for more, but to really up the negotiation power.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, because you're saying, so because it's portfolio, do you have appraisal or can you waive it?
You can waive it.
Have the
So
option.
basically, we want to always do that for our comfort and the clients, but instead of a formal appraisal, we can do a CMA. We can do a BPO. So there's the flexibility to say, okay, what do we feel between myself, the client, and an agent partner like yourself, the comfort at versus a standard loan, you have to do that formal appraisal. So that gives us that flexibility. And we normally do something that doesn't involve the seller so that we can write a no contingency into the contract for us.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that that's what makes it shorter, right? You don't have as many hoops to jump through.
Yep.
And so yeah, that's pretty aggressive. I mean, much more aggressive than a contingent offer, even offering them more money. I mean, I don't know, like whatever you have to do.
And to your point, actually, we've had a lot of success where multiple times our clients won with this product because it's more like cash and we're not the highest priced offer. Like I just had one where we were 30 grand less than the top offer, but we were the best offer. So it's a very fun way to help clients, again, win in multiple offer, but like this client saved 30 grand. They didn't have to escalate as high because their terms were so much better.
Yeah. Well, so what does someone have to do to kind of prepare for the transition loan? Like, like to me, like this would be like a good one to maybe have in your back pocket, like, because you may or may not have to use it, right? So if you had to, and you were like, okay, I'm going to go that way.
Yeah.
Do they just go ahead and get pre-approved the same way?
Great question. So what I love to do is, it's to your answer, yes, same pre-approval, but I always do a double approval, meaning I would say, hey, guys, you're absolutely qualified for a traditional mortgage at this level. You're also qualified for the transition loan at this level. And sometimes a client's fine with both price points. Sometimes they need the transition to get to their point. So some clients need the transition to get to the right price. Other clients like it as a tool to say, well, if I come to the perfect home or a home that I know is going to have a lot of activity and competition, I can jump up to that transition and be more aggressive. So I think different clients use it for different reasons, but I would always do the double approval so the client knows both of their options.
Yeah, it's really smart because you just never know what you're going to run into, right? You find the right house and it turns out to be a cream puff or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, well then I've got this right here. I'm just going to use the transition loan. No problem.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And then on this one, from the fee perspective, is it a little bit more than the regular bridge loan?
It would be a little bit. And kind of the reason for it is it's structured just like the bridge loan from a fee standpoint. It's just in the first scenario, we only did that portfolio loan on that 20%.
Right.
out of the
Right.
house, right? In
Right.
this one, we're basically doing the portfolio loan on 100% of the house. So there's
On
going to
the
be
100% of the new house.
exactly, yeah, 100% of the
Okay.
new house because we're helping to say, hey,
Okay.
we'll privately fund, portfolio fund the entire purchase for you, and then
Yeah.
that's the difference. So there is
Yeah,
a
because it
little
kind of
bit
like
more.
guarantees it almost. You're basically
It
like
does.
saying, we're buying this house no matter what.
You're exactly right. Hey guys, we're fronting the cash. It's not subject to
Yeah.
anything like the normal loan would be.
Right.
We're
Right.
fronting the cash to do it. So there is going to be a little more cost to do that.
Okay.
That being said, I think for a lot of clients, they make that back up because, hey, if I'm now able to negotiate like close to cash, I can bring that price back down to offset it. So it's been a great tool for a lot of clients, but that would be why it's a little bit different from a cost
Yeah.
perspective.
Well, is it the same percentage? Like, is this because the other one was like about 2.5, but it's just a
Yeah,
little bit more because it's on the purchase price or whatever.
it's typically a 2% fee is what these
2%.
loans
Okay.
are set up for us. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and that makes sense. Let me see. I feel like I had a question on this on the transition loan. And then on the transition loan, the payment's the same, right? Like when you buy the new house, so do you pay on your old house? Do you pay on
So
your
again, it would if you still had your mortgage, anything on the old house
Yeah.
is going to remain until you sell. So that would stay the
Okay.
same. And
Okay.
then this will work just like the bridge. It's just in the sense of, hey, I would close in May, skip June, first payment in July. And again, if we did 100% financing, technically that's split between an 80% mortgage here, a
Yeah.
20% mortgage here, but it's the same piece. So that part would be the same. I've had multiple clients that sell their house before the payment ever starts, and then it flips into a permanent loan. But that would be, again, just based on the timing of how quick they list and get an
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah. Well, and I think just to go back to your previous point, it's like if it's a competitive market and you're ready to be out of your old house,
Yeah,
then that process is fairly simple.
exactly.
Get it on the market, get it staged, get it priced right, you're off to the races. The
Yep,
likelihood of you having to have another payment is very low.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now this next one. Well, is there anything else to add on that one?
I think the only thing I'd mention on that one is for clients, they sometimes they think, do I still get the same terms? So when we do a portfolio loan, the
Right.
in-term interest rates are going to be a little bit higher. But
Okay.
at the end of any transition loan, we help to flip them into a permanent mortgage. So I
Okay.
like clients
Right.
to realize if I do a contingent offer, if I do a bridge loan, if I do a transition, at the end of the day, once we sell, we're going to end up in the exact same long-term 30-year fix, no matter
Okay.
what scenario. It's just
Okay.
what process do we take to get there? So
Yeah.
it's like there's no extra long-term rates or fees. It's just temporary cost differential, but the end loan is going to be identical in any of those scenarios.
Yeah. So in the transition loan, I think what you're saying is between the time where they sell their house, well, close on the new house and sell their house, they're in that
Yeah,
portfolio loan. So maybe it's
correct.
like 2 months or
Yep,
something like that, or 3 months. They're in that little
sure.
portfolio loan. And then at the end, when they close on the sale, they're into just the
Correct. We help them
30
flip into
year,
a standard 30-year fix.
regular 30-year
Yep,
product. Okay.
exactly.
Okay. And then so, on that, so then does that 30-year products rate, is it like locked like at the end, like a couple months down the road, or is it locked like kind of
Sure.
upfront or?
So typically where I lock it in as soon as their house is pending, their current sale.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
the tough part is we could technically lock it at any point, but
Yeah,
if
it
their
costs a lot
house
of
is
money.
listed, we just don't know how long it will take. So
Yeah.
normally I want to lock as soon as we can. And if you said, Brett, great news, their house went pending today, it closes in 30. Well, now I know exactly when we could finish the permanent loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's typically how I manage that for us.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah. It's dope. That's a dope product. Okay. All right, the next one's also quite good. All right, so the next one is called a bridge into a reverse loan, a reverse
Sure.
mortgage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about how that one would work, or
Sure.
when would you use that? Like,
Yeah, so I mean, a reverse mortgage, is typically you have to be a certain age, and it's for somebody that's, I think it's over 62 is the requirement, that maybe has great equity, but just doesn't want a mortgage payment anymore. A lot of people to say, hey, where we're at, because unfortunately, I've seen a lot of clients over the years that have awesome equity, and they maybe own a home that's worth $1 million, and it's free and clear, but they have very little cash flow. So unfortunately, they have all this equity, but they're not really living their life the way they want to.
right.
So their option, I could sell my house and to take the $1 million cash, great, but they don't want to move. So the reverse gives us ability to pull some of that equity out without a monthly payment. So I think, again, there's some negative mindset around it. All the new products for the last, decades have been so regulated in a good way. It's nothing like the things from 30, 40 years ago. So I think it's a really cool product for the right person. But I think one thing folks don't realize, you can do a bridge, or excuse me, a reverse purchase loan. So
Yeah.
some clients say, hey, I'm buying a house of, let's say $1 million, and I have 600,000 to put down. Well, that's great. Instead of having a 400,000 mortgage with a payment, if you're of age, you could do a reverse, meaning you don't even have a payment on it. So I've helped clients where, again, they have that 600,000 in this example in equity, to
Right.
say we can pull that out on the bridge loan, use it as the down payment,
Mm,
sell their house, and then flip them into a reverse. So
yeah.
it's definitely a more unique scenario, but I think it's kind of aligns with people realizing anytime I use that bridge loan or transition, I can flip into any normal loan, whether that's a normal 30-year fixed, whether it's maybe a reverse mortgage. So the use of a bridge loan or transition is not going to prevent you from getting to the same end loan you want. It's
Right.
just going to help you do it before you sell.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and I think if you know that you want to go into a reverse mortgage,
mhm,
this is the fastest and easiest way
sure.
because if they, let's say they went ahead and did like a traditional bridge or a transition
Yeah.
and then had a mortgage payment, right? Like stopped there and then
Yeah.
had to get a reverse, right? Like you've
Yeah.
kind of done two
It's an
things.
extra
You've
step.
done an
Yeah.
extra step that's unnecessary. Like you've paid for an extra thing,
Yeah.
even, right? Because
Exactly.
reverse mortgage on its own has its own deal, right? So,
Yep.
to go and do that. So yeah, I think this one is like pretty cool.
It is. Well, a big goal for me is really just trying to talk to all of our clients up front and say,
Right.
guys, what is the end goal? Where do you want to be?
Yeah.
What market are we in? It's just kind of putting all the inputs. Say, okay, how do we get you from house one to house two? The simplest move for the family, the best end loan for you, whether conventional or reverse, but then also the best experience. I mean, for a lot of people, it's stressful to sell back and forth. But then, as you alluded to earlier, also from a cost standpoint, yes, some of these loans have some costs. But I think when people really dive into, say, if I can negotiate a better price on the buy and I can sell not under the gun, not contingent, I can normally sell better, buy better. I think most clients not only be an easier peace of mind, actually come out financially ahead as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that I've had that same experience with my clients, like much less pressure. You
Yeah.
don't feel like, oh, I have to take this offer or I have to work with this person or
Yeah.
whatever. No, you can like actually say, okay, like, does this really make sense? Do I want to work with this person? All that stuff. And
Yeah.
so it ends up working out really well. So on the reverse, do they have to have a certain amount of equity in the original house? Or like which direction does it matter?
Yeah,
Does
it's
it?
going to be they're going to look at the equity position on the new house for us.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and essentially how it works is, and I do have a specialized reverse department because it is a little more unique product,
Sure.
but it's going to be based on age, and then that equates to the equity. So there's kind of a
Oh,
formula.
right. Yeah, I think I
It's,
feel like I remember something like this.
yeah, exactly. Say, hey, the older somebody is, the little bit less equity they
The less they
need,
have to have. Yeah.
based on, unfortunately, life expectancy is the mindset of the
Right.
reverse lenders
Right.
and current interest rates. So there's a formula we can work into the
Okay.
approval to say, okay, based on somebody's age, the current rates, here's how much we would need to do down or have an equity to
Yeah.
be able to do a reverse on that purchase.
Yeah. Are they during that process able to do cash out? Like if they have a lot, like let's say they have a fully paid
Sure.
off $1 million house and
Yeah.
they're like, we're just going to go to something smaller or whatever, and that thing costs 600,
Yeah.
or something like that,
Absolutely.
like, are they able to
Yeah.
like, you know, I don't know, carry like,
So,
I don't know what, like have like $200,000 mortgage on the 600,000 and then
yeah.
keep like 500,000, I don't know, in cash. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think a lot of times folks go, well, I want to buy this new house. And in their mind, the only way to not have a payment is to pay it in cash.
All of it. Yeah,
I think they
completely
realize,
off.
hey, guys, based on your age and this, we could do a reverse, which
Right.
would mean you can still have no payment on the house, but instead of putting down the entire cash, now you got 300 grand left sitting in your bank, which could be whatever you want to do. I've had, some folks that want to, give that as inheritance up front, or help
Yeah.
their family
Yeah.
or go on vacation, whatever it is, enjoy their life with it
Yeah.
and just still have that new house without a payment. So it's a pretty liberating product for the right folks.
Yeah, yeah, I think it can be, and it sounds really good. So let's see, is there any way, I know you have the formula, but is there any way to like kind of like quickly know? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think if on the new house, like you're gonna need more than like 25%, right?
Yeah, I would say in general, I think most people would say at least 50%, you
Oh,
know,
50. Okay.
50, maybe
You're in
60%.
that range, right? That way you have an
Yeah,
idea, like if you're
yeah.
even close. Okay.
Exactly. But again, I've seen a lot of people that think they need 100%, right? All
Yeah.
cash, and it's
Yeah.
definitely not there. So I would think, somewhere 50, 60% is the range we see for
Okay.
most folks, but easy to
Okay.
run specifically. So,
Yeah, yeah, but you'll have to like you'd have to look at their specific scenario. You'd need to
correct.
know. There's some variables that you need to know.
Yep.
So then on this one, like how do the fees stack up on this one? Because they get charged
So,
on
yeah,
it could be three things if they do cash out, if they do
yeah,
yeah, right?
it could be a couple, but I'd say it's very much in line with the transition loan structure as well for
Okay.
us, right?
Okay.
Of just you have that basic portfolio funding up front, and then
Mhm.
it moves once the current home sells into the reverse.
Okay. And so it would be based on the purchase price of the new.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, dude, I love that product so much because I feel like there's so much you can do with that. You
Mhm.
know, they could like if they could cash out, they could like even go buy another investment property. I don't know. Like it's
There's a lot
weird.
of
Like you
stuff,
could do
yeah.
a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think a big goal for us is so many people in America, you think about a lot of wealth is in equity.
Yeah,
And I think naturally for us, we look at, hey, money in the bank I can use to buy things, do stuff with.
right.
Equity in my house I can't touch. Well, that's
That's a
not the
given.
case. But I
Yeah.
think people think that, and that's okay. But that's one of my favorite things with this is, hey, guys, we can use that equity kind of like cash in the bank to go buy the next house or to do this project or to buy a rental. So it's really helping us leverage that before we sell. Yes, when we sell, we get the check and we can use it, but
Yeah.
there's tons of ways to use it prior. So it's just helping align with somebody's goals and teaching them, hey, these tools exist to let you do the next venture.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see. And are there any, you know what? I think there's some questions that I've heard about from reverse mortgages from people kind of like what happens when the person passes away? Like how does the
Sure.
property pass on to their heirs?
Yep.
Like, do you have any idea how that ends up
For
working?
sure. Yeah. So what's nice about a reverse mortgage is, and with current laws, it's exactly the same as a regular loan in the sense of, hey, if someone passes away,
Hmm.
and the house was sold, it just simply pays off the debt and the heirs get the rest of the money. The
Okay.
only difference is, like on a current loan, if someone had a regular mortgage and they
Yeah.
passed,
Right.
their kids could just take over the mortgage and keep paying it. Well, on
Right.
a reverse loan, there's no payment and you do have to be of age. So the only caveat is, I
Okay.
believe it's 1 year. If someone passes,
Mm,
they can sell the house, they can refi the house, but they just have to do something within 1 year. The reverse loan, it does expire. So I've
Well,
had
well,
plenty of,
what if they are of age? Like, what
then
if
I,
they
I, I
couldn't they
I
keep the
think there
reverse or
might
do they
be.
have to refi?
I guess I haven't experienced, but I'm sure there's a way to do it because the main thing on the reverse is just saying, hey, reverse has qualifying guides, right? You
Yeah.
have to be a certain age. So I would guess there's probably a way to assume the mortgage,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is a government-backed loan. You would just have to go through the assumable process. But
Okay.
the main factor, again, is equity, which we know is already there, right?
Yeah.
And then the second piece would be of age. So
Yeah. 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 But yeah, it just goes basically the same way. I mean, I guess the thing that would be important here is when you're doing your estate planning and you're letting your folks know what's going on, then that way
yeah,
they know there's a reverse on it.
sure.
Right. And they're not like
Exactly.
surprised to be like, "Oh, what, there's a reverse?" Right.
Yeah,
Because on the back end of the reverse, like all those payments are just accumulating on the back end.
for sure.
Right. And just to be
Yep.
paid off when you sell. So, they have to know that they're not going to get like all the equity or whatever they're thinking.
Exactly. I think that's an important piece to say, hey,
Yeah.
where's that at, and updating it with the balance so that
Right.
it's transparent on there. But I think there was back in the day was like, well, do I just lose my house and any equity
Yeah.
goes to
Yeah.
this? None of that.
Yeah.
It's so all that's good. It's that really the only main difference on a reverse truly is instead of the normal loan where the balance gradually goes down, a reverse gradually goes up in lieu of a payment. It's just
Right.
kind of exchanging that.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have one more question about the reverse and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
So if you have a reverse mortgage and you decide that you want to sell that house and buy something else,
Yes.
does it just work the same way? Like you just pay off the remaining balance with your sale and then
Yep.
you could move to another house and you could do a reverse on that one or whatever. Like once you're
Whatever you want to do. Yep.
yeah,
So
yeah, you'd have the ability.
exactly the same. It's just like any loan. Hey,
Okay.
we get a payoff statement. The
Yeah.
biggest difference is just, hey, if you've lived in a house for 10 years, the payoff's going to be higher than your
Higher.
balance versus
Right.
lower. But other than that, it's identical.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then is that one at like similar rates as like 30-year, or like is it different
I would
different
say they're
type?
similar, yeah. So there
Mm.
is different pricing for it a little bit
Okay.
because it's a different product, but they're
Sure.
very similar. So
Okay. Okay. Well, cool. Was there anything else that we didn't talk about on the reverse? Oh, on the reverse, DTI wise,
yeah,
there's not like
there isn't one, yeah. So it's very based on age and equity.
age and
And
equity.
there's
Yeah.
a
So
look
you don't have to have
and
like yeah, you don't have to have a certain income. Like
right. Yeah.
as long as you have enough equity to put into it to start the reverse process, you're good to
Yeah,
go.
that's correct.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
another
that's
major benefit for a lot of,
that's
fixed
huge.
income folks or retired people.
Yeah. Exactly. If you have a fixed income, like, dude, that is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, that's all that I have. And I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me and always happy to help with any scenarios or questions.
Yep. So that is the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We will see you again on the next one. Thanks.